Hi, my name is Rocky Goodman and partner here at McIlroy.Keen.Goodman. And, a few weeks ago, I guess a couple weeks ago now, when the IRS pushed back tax season, I think most tax preparers were somewhat relieved, that it was going to help us, help the clients get through this time. And then the bomb got dropped this last week with the passage of a few different acts that are going to severely, and I just use that as for a big term, impact everybody. I mean, 100% of our clients will be impacted certainly by the coronavirus and the information that are in these acts, both individually and business-wise. So we thought it would be a good opportunity. Video sometimes a little bit easier to get items across to our clients, and so we're going to issue and put out some videos over the course of the next week that kind of highlight some of these things. So the first item that I want to talk about is the one that is hot on everybody's plate right now, and it's the Paycheck protection loan. And interestingly enough, the application is out there now, so we can complete this, and it's a fairly simple 2-page application. The government is really trying to assist taxpayers and making this as streamlined as possible, less red tape as possible, which I know is not the IRS's or the federal government style most of the time. So that's really nice and really helpful. These are going to be able to start getting processed this coming Friday. And while it's not necessarily a first come, first serve, as I understand, there's a set limit on the amount that will be loaned out. So you want to get these in as quickly as possible. And, we can help coach you along and get these things sent in so you can have some relief for your business. So again, it's called there are a couple of different loans. So I'm just going to talk about one in this video. It's the Paycheck Protection Loan, and it's a modification of the Small Business Act, the SBA, and this is actually, to be precise, Section 7A36 is the code number for this loan. They're making it somewhat simple for this loan. There are no personal guarantees that will be needed, no collateral. If a portion of this converts to a loan at the end, then there are going to be no prepayment penalties. So that's kind of on the outset. That's what it is. So who can get this loan? It's pretty broad. Any going concern business is going to be eligible for this. Not-for-profits are going to be eligible. Specifically stated right now, and which I've seen, is 501c3 and 501c19 not-for-profits. And that, again, guidance is coming out on this every day, so things are certain to change and to get a little bit more clarity in these items. But as of now, those are the businesses who can qualify, as can sole props, sole practitioners, sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed individuals are all going to be able to apply for this. I'm still waiting on some guidance on how that's going to be exactly, how it's going to be calculated for a self-employed individual. I mean, I think we have an idea, but I'd really like to get some more guidance. The self-employed people are not going to be able to get the application process, as I understand, until next Friday, the 10th. April 10th. Everyone else, all the other businesses, are going to be able to start this Friday on April the 3rd. So I guess we have a little bit more time on the self-employed to figure out exactly how that's going to be calculated. So those are the people who can get the loan. And so how much can we get? What's the calculation? So it's a somewhat simple calculation. First of all, you got to calculate what your payroll costs are, and so payroll costs are going to include your compensation to your employees. Those are capped at $100,000 though. So if you have an employee with over $100,000 of compensation, it's gonna be max out at $100,000 for this calculation. If you have a business where tips are part of the earnings, cash tips are getting calculated in this. Vacation that was paid out, any severance that was paid out. Kind of a big one, group health premiums get calculated into this. So I think the employer's portion of the group health insurance is calculated as part of this overall calculation, and a couple other minor costs. But these, basically what you do is you include all these costs for the entire year. So it would be for the year calendar year 2019. If you haven't been in business for a full year, there's a way to calculate based on the first couple of months of this year. If you're a seasonal employer, there's a certain calculation on how you would calculate for a seasonal employer. So those are kind of more detailed that I won't go into, but just know those calculations are there. So you take the total calculation for the year 2019. You take that number, say you weren't seasonal. So you're going to take that number, you're going to divide it by 12 to come up with your monthly payroll costs. And then the amount that you're going to be able to get in a loan or those eligible costs averaged to 1 month at 250%. So 2.5 times what your average monthly payroll costs are, that will be the amount of the total loan that will be available. So that's who and that's how much, and what you're going to have to use those funds for are a few different things. So that's over the course of the 8 weeks. As I understand, the 8 weeks after you've received the loan, you need to spend the monies on and show that you've spent the monies on certain things. One, the payroll costs. So you're continuing, again, it's a Paycheck protection loan. So they want you to continue, you've got to continue to pay your employees. So that's one of the costs. If you have interest on a mortgage that the business, building the business owns, that's one of the costs that is allowable for this loan. If you don't own a building but you rent or lease, those expenses are calculated into this as well as utilities. So the amount of the loan that you get, let's just say that's $50,000. Over the course of the next 8 weeks, you have to spend $50,000 on those specific line items, and if you do, and you'll have to show some proof of this to your lender where you get the loan from. If you show proof of your payroll or your lease obligations and those sorts of things, and you spend that over the course of the 8 weeks, then the loan is going to be forgiven and it won't have to be paid back. You have to apply for the forgiveness, and so then you're going to have to show this documentation. But as long as you do that, as I understand, the loan will be forgiven. Now, you also, in that time period, and for a time, I think a short time period after that, you cannot reduce your workforce, lay off employees. You can't reduce their pay. Again, the spirit and intent of this loan is as a paycheck protection loan. So they really want you to hang on to those employees. If you don't, you have to cut employees, you reduce pay, or you don't spend the amount of money on the eligible costs, then what's left is going to be converted to a loan. And that loan will have to be paid back over the course of a 2-year period. And it will be at I want to say I've seen 0.5% is what the interest rate is going to be. So it's going to be a very low interest rate and a small term to pay back. But again, I think the intent is for you to take this loan to stay in business, to be able to continue to pay your employees. And if you can do that, it's a grant essentially it'll be a grant and will be forgiven at the end of the day. I know that was a simple rundown of this, but this is, I fielded more calls in the last 2 days on this than any tax information I have probably all tax season. So this is on everybody's mind. So I just wanted to put this out there so you can at least have a rundown of what's going on. The banks that you use, if they're a major bank, major lending institution, most likely they're going to be allowed to issue these loans. And I know most bankers are already reaching out to their clients. So you've probably gotten a call or an email from your banker explaining this somewhat, and that it's going to be available. You can go straight through the SBA to apply for the loan. There's a link on their website. You can go there and get that. So there are going to be a number of options for you to get this. But again, I would say apply as soon as you can. Again, the 2-page application is very simple. Some yes, no questions, and coming up with that calculation of your payroll. Some of the lending institutions, there may be 1 or 2 other small things that you have to get for this, but that's the Paycheck Protection Loan, and I think it's going to be good, and it's going to help a lot of businesses. So email me if you have questions, rgoodman@mkgcpa.net. You can call our office, 501-280-0222. We'll be happy to visit with you. Be a little patient with us. We're taking lots of calls. Same with tax returns. Tax returns are kind of slowed a little bit because of this, because this is a much more the need to get this information out immediately is there, and so we're having to kind of shift gears a little bit. So thanks again. Feel free to share this video if you wish with anyone. That'd be perfectly fine, and we'll be posting more videos every day for the next couple of weeks on these things, and look forward to getting your feedback and answering any questions you have. So thanks a lot.